into his inner orbit. Joining me now from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, former Deputy Press Secretary for the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee, and now Republican strategist, Erin Elmore. Erin, let's start with issues of substance, shall we? I kind of like to target substance instead of what I call schlock, but here's some substance for you. We have word that the DOJ is going to actually turn over material. It's going to give intelligence material to the Intel Committee in the House of Representatives regarding the Russia matter and what have you, and corruption possibly within the DOJ and the FBI. But whatever they need, they're finally going to turn it over. I say, what took so long for that? The second item, the DOJ is now apparently investigating the Clinton pay-to-play, a.k.a. Clinton cash, a.k.a. using government, the Secretary of State's role, in order to fund the Clinton Foundation. To that I say, what took so long? And a third item, the DOJ now investigating the Hillary Clinton email scandal. This is apparently, we don't have confirmation, but it looks as though they're opening up an investigation, a new investigation into the email scandal, and this should be done. All of these things should be done to drain the swamp, which is what Donald Trump promised to do if he was elected president of the United States. But to be even more clear, there is corruption, clearly certain levels of corruption at the DOJ, at the FBI, and surely other elements of the fourth branch of government that we, the people, deserve to have rooted out and gotten rid of.
Well, and to you I say, what took so long? I couldn't agree more, but you know what? Instead, we have this democratic and, as you call it, fascist agenda that's being pushed to just worry about Russia, Russia, Russia. And what's coming out of that? Absolutely nothing. So now, finally, they're saying to themselves, maybe it's time to look into some of Hillary Clinton's misdeeds, because the other endeavor, which is to impeach Trump and to call him a fascist, when you know it's the other side that is the actual deserves of that name, they're realizing now that the Clinton machine is in the wrong. So I think it's, like you said, about time.
All right. So let's go to more substance, and that is the economy. We heard the president talk about the economy. Of course, it's not all because of Donald Trump, but certainly X amount is because of who is in the Oval Office. And we just have word today that they've added up all the new jobs created in 2017, and it's in the neighborhood of 2 million jobs. You know, Barack Obama could only dream of 2 million jobs in 1 year. Again, it's not all because of the President of the United States, but certainly it's a function of his policies. And by the way, these are real jobs, including manufacturing jobs, not the phony, if you remember the Barack Obama phony saved or created job nonsense. These are real, tangible jobs with real paychecks.
It's hard to argue with statistics that you just spouted, and it's true. There are real jobs. The Dow and the stock market has surged and hit so many record highs in 2017 and now 2018. These numbers are real. We've had fewer border crossings. Unemployment is the lowest rate in 17 years. So to say that these things are just unrelated to President Trump are quite silly. And now we have tax reform. So things are really looking up for 2018 and President Donald Trump. But when you see the left-wing media, they say that his approval ratings are all-time low, but really his base has maintained the same approval ratings, and he was at the same rate as President Obama at this time in his presidency. So a lot of those numbers are fake, but everything you said, you can't really argue with those statistics now, can you?
All right, you ask, I deliver. You talk about the approval rating from Rasmussen, which is a pretty reputable source, now at 45% for the President of the United States. I believe that's at or above where Barack Obama was, for example, in his first term as President of the United States. And this is an interesting number, I think, because you consider the withering assault that this president has been receiving from the Democrat machine, sure, but also the Democrat-run mainstream media, and also folks, you know, I heard somebody, I'm not going to say who, but a so-called respected Republican attacking this president and saying, yeah, the stuff in this rotten book is probably all true. So he's attacked from all angles, yet the American people somehow have an amazing way of seeing the truth.
Right. I mean, the people that matter are the people that go out and vote on Election Day, and they know exactly what they're getting with President Trump. And some people may cringe on television when they hear about his tweets or hear the things that he says, but guess what? The American people love it. They voted for him because they wanted a breath of fresh air and a broken system. They got it. They wanted someone who's honest. They wanted someone who was gruff. They wanted someone who was rough around the edges. They wanted someone who's going to speak their mind. And that person is President Donald Trump.
All right, Erin, now I have to go to the schlock, and this is the Wolf book. I'm sorry, but we have to go there because I want to hit some points on this. And I think number one is Michael Wolff, who wrote what I'm calling the Wolf book, which is Fire and Fury. He's a Democrat hack, long history as such. Here's my question. You were in the inner circle to a degree. Why would the president allow a person like this with a resume like this into the White House, let alone, certain orbits of the White House that he never should have been?
Well, I think it's less about criticizing President Trump and more about the jerk that Mr. Wolf is. Journalists even say that he's a total sleazebag, that he's not to be trusted. Also, he probably was speaking to President Trump off the record, but we already know that Michael Wolff doesn't care if someone is off the record. President Trump does like that bit of transparency and sort of closeness between the media and himself, so that is why I can see it occurring. But he spent a total of 3 hours. 3 hours does not make a personal relationship. 3 hours does not make a book. 3 hours does not make some sort of pack. And I doubt 3 hours can give you that juicy of information.
That leads me to Steve Bannon. And I scratched my head over this one, and I scratched my head over it when he brought him into the campaign in August of 2016. I did some digging, and I looked at Breitbart's numbers in terms of hits on their website prior to Bannon joining the Trump campaign. Remember, Bannon supported Ted Cruz, which is fine, but all of a sudden he made this switch to Donald Trump, which is a fairly radical move, in my opinion. Okay, so he did it. But if you look at the hits to the Breitbart website prior to the Bannon move to Donald Trump, they were in the neighborhood of 600th. On a list of, websites that are ranked in the United States. And after he joined the Trump campaign and he got all this publicity for Breitbart, they went up to about 200, and that's more or less where they are now. So I'm saying that possibly Bannon was in it not for President Trump, not for making America great again, not for what's best for the American people, but possibly Bannon was in it for himself.
Bannon's in it for Bannon, or can we call him Sloppy Steve? Now that's the president's new moniker.
All right.
But yeah, it appears that he's really in it for himself here. And let's face it, he's alienated a lot of people. Traditional Republicans want nothing to do with him. Now the Trump folks want nothing to do with him. He lost his biggest backer, Rebecca Mercer. She's the money behind Steve Bannon. And he's lost a lot of the candidates that are up for re-election that were sort of supporting him and vice versa. Michael Grimm was one of them out of New York. He said, look, I was only supportive of Bannon because he was part of the Trump agenda. Now that he's tarnishing the name of President Trump and not along for the Trump agenda, I don't want anything to do with him. So who does Bannon really have left? Nobody.
Yeah, and if he leaves the inner circle of Donald Trump does not get hurt at all. And these people that are saying, oh, he's going to take Donald Trump's base away with him, they don't understand the candidate and the president, Donald Trump, and the movement behind him. They clearly don't understand it. But for the record, the president tweeted kind of indirectly about this whole nonsense about the book. It says, quote, I authorized zero access to White House, actually turned him down many times for author of phony book. I never spoke to him for book, full of lies, misrepresentations, and sources that don't exist. Look at this guy's past, which is, of course, what I've been talking about, and watch what happens to him and Sloppy Steve. Okay, so he comes out, this author does, Wolf, and he says 100% of the people that he talked to believe that Donald Trump is unfit for office. Completely, patently absurd. It just doesn't make any sense that that could possibly be true. But here's my question. Clearly, there's a pattern here of people who were close to Donald Trump, Manafort and Bannon, and I would put Priebus in there too, who are either disloyal or dysfunctional. How did this happen? Is Donald Trump that trusting of these kind of people?
Well, Priebus isn't really a Trump guy. He was a party guy. And as you know, there's a big difference between the Donald Trump faction of the Republican Party and the traditional Republican faction of the Republican Party. But so that's one thing there. But does he let these people get that close to him? I don't know. I think he is a trusting guy, but I think he realizes at the end of the day, he's got nothing to lose and shouldn't be afraid of anything. He's an open book, and that's what the American people want. And so as far as what Wolf is claiming that these people are saying he won't release any of the tapes. We don't know what was actually said. And his lack of credibility has been proven time and time again. He has, subpar journalistic practices, complete lack of credible sourcing. Other journalists call him completely unreputable and even a liar and a phony. So really, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on here. And this book, is it going to sell books? Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make a name for himself and trying to buy himself a beach house or whatever it is that he's into. But at the end of the day, it's not going to have one impact on politics or policy whatsoever.
I agree. I think it's interesting when Donald Trump wanted to issue and did apparently issue the cease and desist order. I wonder if they really thought this one through, because they rocketed this book, unfortunately, to #1 as a bestseller by doing that, because they gave it the publicity that it shouldn't have gotten. Okay, that said, I want to back up and look at the big picture here. So why would this hack write a book like this about the so-called competency of the 45th president? Well, when you put the pieces together, in my mind, he's playing into the hands of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and these other members of the Democrat caucus who are now talking about trying to invoke the 25th Amendment of the United States Constitution under the competency clause, if you will, of the 25th Amendment. And they're so myopic, they don't even understand how the 25th Amendment would work. Of course, it would take somebody like Mike Pence to turn on the president, first of all, but then it would still take Congress to say, yeah, hey, we agree.
And his cabinet as well. First of all, do these Democrats, do they realize, let me get this straight, the 25th Amendment, I'm a lawyer, I'm a little rusty, it's been a long holiday. If they try to get rid of President Trump, does that mean we have Mike Pence? So do you think that's better for Democrats? Are they really thinking this through? I mean, really? Yeah. Mike Pence for them? I mean, he's as conservative as the day is long. They're going to be begging for Trump back if they think this 25th Amendment is even a reasonable idea. I also think, to your point, that Michael Wolff wrote this book because he needs money. He's pathetic.
It's not going to work.
He needs money. It's not going to do anything.
Unfortunately, the book will sell. And a lot of people are going to buy it, and they can judge for themselves what's between the pages. 25th Amendment, it's not going to work. It never had a chance, and the effort to impeach President Trump is not going to work either unless the Republicans blow it in November. We shall see. But I think the bottom line is this guy Wolf says that President Trump is like a pinball bouncing all over the place. Well, I'd rather have a pinball in the Oval Office than a radical, which is what we had during the 8 years of Barack Obama. Erin, thank you.